a unboxing and demo of the Bitaxe Gamma 601 from AliExpress. I'm based in Australia here, and there's only two suppliers here, one of which has no stock at all. The other of which does have stock, but they're quite expensive. They're charging about $335 Australian for just the Bitaxe and the PSU with no stand or anything included, which is pretty expensive. So AliExpress have these available from various merchants there, and they range from about 220 to 250, 60 or so Australian dollars delivered, including GST and any other taxes as well. So I've noticed that some of the supplies on AliExpress, the prices can vary quite a lot, and it's based on which power adapter you choose for some crazy reason. For example, a supplier might supply the Bitaxe with options for an AU, EU or US power adapter, and prices can vary up to $20 to $30 Australian, depending which one you choose. So in the past, I have chosen an EU adapter because it was $30 cheaper, and I've got my own AU adapters here anyway, so it was a good saving for just using your own power adapter. So let's go ahead and open this box up. As you can see, they're called the Bit Solo Player. Comes in a brown cardboard box. Let's open it up. Oh, it's a bit stiff. There we go. So, in the box, there's a instruction manual, Bit Solo Player, Bitaxe. It looks like it's a full color instruction booklet with specs. So the Bitaxe Gamma has 1 to 1.2 terahash of goodness packed in it. So it's a pretty powerful little home miner. Talks about how to set it up and how to configure it, how to configure your mining pool, performance adjustments, how to overclock, etc., etc. Looks like the back does have a QR code that allows you to scan in for instructions as well. So this is the actual Bitaxe Gamma itself. You'll often see from AliExpress they come in either a black or an orange 3D printed case. This one's obviously black, and it's actually a bit different to my previous ones I purchased. It's got this one here has a full case with the hexagonal kind of back, which I don't know if I like, to be honest with you, because that will obstruct any rear fans or copper heat sinks I might want to put on the back of the voltage regulator here to cool it down. So I might need to look at removing this Bitaxe from this case, or to cut this bit out. I'm not too sure what I'll do yet. Now you'll also notice that the heatsink on these Bit Solo players from AliExpress, they've got a much bigger heatsink than those provided normally that you see online, which are the shorter or shorter gold heat sinks. This is actually quite large compared to the standard issue ones. I'm not too sure about the fan capacity, but given that it's got a bigger heat sink supplied, it does lend itself a bit better to some basic overclocking. Also in a box is the power supply unit, also branded with the Bit Solo Player. And you can see it's 5 volt 6 amps, so it gives us a good 30 watts of power. Again, it gives some kind of power for basic overclocking. Nothing too great, but it's better than the standard one that you normally get. I quite like these adapters that they ship with, because it's got the barrel joint with it, the barrel connector with the elbow joint on it. So it means that when you plug it into your Bitaxe, they're nice and they're quite nice and flush. It just goes back like that, so it doesn't actually stick out too far from the side. And lastly, as mentioned before, I scored this one with the Australian power adapter. As I've said before, you might want to click around and just see what the prices are for the AU or EU or US power adapters, because you might save yourself 30, 40 bucks. Again, I don't know why AliExpress do that, but just shop around and find the best bang for your buck. Okay, let's plug her in. Okay, so here we go. We've got the Bitaxe Gamma 601 unboxed, and I've got the power source plugged in. You can see there's a green LED there showing got power. Let's plug in this connector, and give me 2 secs while I fumble with my phone as well. Here she goes. So fans spinning up, the display comes on. Now normally how these work, the first time you plug it in is it will set up its own little Wi-Fi hotspot for you to connect to, so that you can then configure things like the Wi-Fi that you should connect to, as well as the mining pools and overclocking. It's all available by the Axe OS browser interface, which is pretty cool. So you'll see on the display here, I'm going to zoom in and get a clear picture. So it's broadcasting an SSID of Bitaxe 95F9. So what we need to go and do is hop into a computer or a phone and connect to that hotspot. Now the thing I should point out here is that these Bitaxes, they will only connect to a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection. So the 5 gig connection will not work. So let's jump on over to my PC. Okay, so here we are on my laptop. Let's first connect to the hotspot that the Bitaxe is broadcasting. So we're going to go to Wi-Fi, and there's the hotspot there, Bitaxe 95F9. So let's connect to that. Connect, and you can see it's connecting. Now once it connects, it opens up a browser instance to this URL called msftconnecttest.com, which is the local admin configuration GUI built into each of the Bitaxes. They all run a local OS called Axe OS, which is a pretty rich and configurable GUI interface, which is pretty cool. I'll walk through some of these settings with you in the next video, but for now let's configure the network, which is what we need to do initially. So we'll click on the network option on the left hand side. We'll give it this host name. We'll type in our Wi-Fi SID. Remember, it has to be the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and password, and save. So I'm pretty sure we do have to restart, and as of the latest Axe OS firmware, you can actually restart the device straight from within this GUI, which is beautiful. So let's hit the restart. Working. Let's give it a few seconds to reboot itself. So after setting up the Wi-Fi connection, you can see that the Bitaxe has now been assigned a new DHCP IP, which is 192.168.2.99. So that's the IP that we need to now type in to the browser to access its web GUI interface to configure a few things. So let's type that into the browser here. 192.168.2.99 by the looks of it. And boom, there we go. So you can see it's already hashing at 911 gigahash. Out of the box, these should be hashing at about 1 to 1.2 tera hashes. So let's see if that will come up to speed or not. The interface here displays a nice graph of the hash rate with this red dotted line showing the average, as well as this white line here showing the voltage regulated temperature. So you can see all that stats down here. So the first thing we want to do is now let's update the pool information, because this is the default pool, and this Bitcoin address here is someone's Bitaxe address, Bitcoin address, sorry, probably from when they were testing these units. So let's go into settings. This is where we want to configure the stratum as well as the ports and our Bitaxe, our Bitcoin address, which is where we would want our 3.125 Bitcoins plus fees to go to should we hit a block. So let's do that now. Okay, so I am going to be mining to CK pool as my preference. So I'm gonna copy and paste the solo ckpool.org stratum host. The port number for CK pool, just let me double check what that is over here. To port 3333 1234, and this bit you need to be very careful about. This is your Bitcoin address. Again, this is where you want your Bitcoin reward paid to should you hit a block and win that 3.125 BTC. So I'm going to delete theirs and put in my Bitcoin address, and then followed by .bitaxe, which is kind of the worker name that you'll see in the mining pool. So if you had multiple Bitaxes, you might put Bitaxe 1 or 2 or 3, or yeah, whatever name you want to give it. The stratum password you can leave blank. Now the fallback one, you should have a second one here, but for now I'm just going to use the same solo one for both. Oh, looks like it's updated that for me anyway for some reason. Well, that was the backup one, sorry, that they were using. And we're going to hit save. Just while I'm here, the frequency here and the core voltage, these are the two settings that we will use in another video to show you how to overclock the Bitaxes. So 525 is the default frequency, and it goes all the way up to 625 and beyond that, and I'll show you how to push beyond what's in this GUI as well as the core voltage 1150 up to 1250. So yeah, so let's flick back to the dashboard, and we can just keep an eye on the stats. So you can see it's hashing right now at 1.19 terahashes, and I'll leave this going for a bit, and we'll just come back in a few minutes and just see what the average hash rate has been.
A few moments later.
Okay, so here we are. It's been about 10 minutes or so, and we can see that the Bitaxe here is hashing currently about 1.21 terahashes per second. Looking at this graph here, this red dotted line, you can see the average hash rate's been about 1.12 over the last 10 minutes or so, and the regulated temperature is around 57 degrees, which is fine. So it's pretty low still. As I said, this is just out of box without any overclocking or anything. So you can see that the wattage draw, the power drawn wattage is about 17.8 watts. The input voltage is drawing about 5.1. The ASIC frequency, as I said, as well as the voltage, they're all default right now. The ASIC temperature is running pretty cool, 57.8 degrees. From everything I've read online, you want your ASIC temperature to be running between 55 and 65 degrees max. I'd even say 60 degrees max. So there we go. The voltage regulated temperature is pretty cool right now, 51 degrees. Again, from what I've read online, people are saying, a safe value for that would be up to 75. Even some people said 85 degrees, but that would seem quite warm for me. The fan speed is currently on automatic, running 62% at 7190 RPM. Okay, so that's it for today's video. In my next videos, I'll start to look at overclocking this baby to push more terahash. And thanks for watching.